Thanks for doing this, Alex. Wondering if you could at first just kind of introduce who you are and what company you work for.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, my name is Alex Busilacchi. I'm the sales director at Moreland Insurance, which is a independent brokerage here in Seattle. So we do all personal lines, home, auto, umbrella, motorcycle, boat, kind of you name it. We also do commercial insurance, which is business, and then life, health, and everything kind of in between. So a full service agency.
Full service.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And how can you help people if they're just getting started in the home search process?
Yeah.
Should they reach out to you before they found a house, after they found a house? What's that process
No, that's
like?
a great question. I think right now, especially with kind of what's going on in insurance, right, the sooner the better. There's a lot of things right now that especially new buyers just aren't aware of and can't kind of see in their buying process. So we're always recommending, whether it's with our clients or whether it's our referral partners, we're trying to get kind of ahead of the process because it's a lot more difficult nowadays to kind of navigate through the insurance piece than it has been, let's say, 5 years ago or 10 years ago even. So sooner the better right now, but once you have a person that can kind of help answer those questions, the process becomes a lot more smooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's not such a thing as too soon.
No, not right now.
Okay.
Not right now. So I mean, normally it can be pretty quick if there's nothing that comes up. But if there is, which we are seeing a lot more nowadays, it can take a lot longer than it used to. So we just try and get ahead of it. A lot of times right now we're dealing with kind of the 11th inning, right? Insurance was kind of the last piece, and that just is no longer a thing anymore. We have to get ahead of certain things. We don't want to be up against closing and have kind of everyone scrambling at the last second. So yeah, sooner the better right now.
Okay. And just a quick follow-up on that.
Yeah.
Are there situations that would completely prevent someone from getting a policy?
Yeah, very rare right now, but what we're seeing most of the time is it's a couple different things. So it could be, we live in an area where there's older homes, right? Homes that were built in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and older roofs on it, right? So the kind of the big things that you can kind of look for is how old is the roof, when's the last time electrical was updated, plumbing, kind of all those things. The things that we can't see that are causing a lot of issues right now are prior claims on the home. So even if a buyer has nothing to do with that claim, what the insurance companies do is they use what's called a clue report, which is basically a 7-year history of, we'll call it the health of the home. And it's specifically water. So if they had a water loss on the home, that really raises red flags for insurance companies. And that's not something that we can see, right? As buyers, we don't know what's happened. So we're right now really pushing for, when you get a quote early enough, it does run a clue report for the agent that you get it through. And they're able to actually kind of acknowledge what's on it. Is there a prior claim on it? Is something going to affect you guys getting insurance on it? So that's again why we want, let's start this process a lot earlier than we anticipated. So, and
a good practice for home sellers.
Absolutely, yeah. It's even just as much important on the selling side as well, because let's say you lived in a house for 5 years and there was a claim 6 years ago. That could affect a new buyer trying to come in and buy your home. So we want to try and get everything we can, all the information we can as soon as possible to help kind of, then that gives us our path on kind of how to work through those things.
Great. And then, so a lot of people who are already in their homes, have been in their homes for years, don't necessarily think ever again about their home insurance policy.
Yes.
So what kind of benefit, or is there a benefit for them to kind of reevaluate?
Absolutely, yeah. Most people just kind of let it renew, and I think maybe even nowadays too, because we're seeing a lot of higher renewal increases, that people maybe are a little more aware of it because they see the dollar amount go up, so they're wondering, okay, what's going on? But to be honest, just kind of as your own personal process, you probably want to have it looked at every year. Maybe every other year. One big thing for us that we realized, especially over the last few months, and specifically during the bomb cyclone that hit, I I think it was in November, we had a lot of people reach out to us that were not clients of ours. They were referred by, you guys, they were referred by friends, family, whatever it was, because they just didn't have someone to talk to and guide them through a claim scenario or whatever it was, which really kind of, perked our ears up like, wow, there's a lot of people that just don't have someone. And I think right now that's most important. It's just having someone you can call, having someone that will pick up the phone and be able to answer questions in certain scenarios, and definitely review your insurance, like I said, either once a year annually or maybe every other year to make sure that not only you're competitively priced, but you're properly covered, which is more important to us.
Yeah.
Right.
You bring up an interesting thought too, is that I think a lot of people are afraid to reach out to you because if they talk to you, now somehow it's
in there. Yeah.
Is that a true? Is that a false?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. So here's the good news: we are not a carrier. So we are a brokerage. We work on behalf of the client. So if you call us and there is a claim situation, no one gets notified of that.
Okay.
Right. If you do call the carrier first, then there is a chance they might open up a claim ticket, even if you don't proceed with filing a claim, and that can come up. Now, it doesn't necessarily cause issues, but if you're calling 2-3 times a year doing that, that's what could cause some problems. So for us, we're the middleman, right? So we're just going to help kind of guide you through it, and if it does end up in a claim scenario, then we'll kind of go down that path then.
Okay. And then just real quick, back to homeowners who have been in their home. If they do call you to kind of assess their what their policy is and what they're paying, what is that process? Yeah,
so I think that's become very popular right now, especially with kind of what's going on around the country, right? Down in California, people are being a little bit more aware of, maybe I should take a look at my insurance and see that. So it's a very, very simple process. We do them every day. We call them insurance reviews, right? And so whether it's referred to us or a client just calls in and said, hey, I just need someone to take a look at it. We basically get a hold of their current policies. We review them. We make sure there's really no gaps in coverage. If we find that you are in a good spot, even though maybe it may not feel like it from a financial standpoint, we'll just recommend you stay where you are. Okay. If we do identify some gaps, we'll make you aware of them, that you can go back to your current carrier or broker and kind of make those changes if you see fit. If we do find some better options that we feel might benefit the client more, we'll obviously put them in front of them, talk with them, answer any questions they have, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, that's a great service. Okay, so then speaking of California, with everything that's happening there, I think a lot of people, even in Washington, are concerned about their coverage, their risk of coverage being dropped, their risk of their prices even going higher. And that's a big fear for folks. So can you kind of speak to that issue?
Obviously what happened in California, it's pretty unprecedented. We haven't had, I think I looked, and the top 10 most expensive natural disasters that have happened in the United States have all been either hurricanes, flood related, things like that. There's never been a fire that's been this expensive, because specifically of the area that it happened, right? So as far as the fallout from that, there's still a lot to be determined on how much the insurance carriers have lost and how much they'll have to pay out. There was the California Fair Plan that kind of had a pool of money for people that couldn't get insurance through your standard carrier, but that went bankrupt in a day. There was billions of dollars in damages that happened, and that fund only had a few $100 million in it. So as far as the repercussion across the rest of the country, I would say still to be determined, but just kind of knowing what's happened over the last year and a half, I think it was 2023, there were $24 billion catastrophes that happened in the United States, which kind of led us to where we're at now, which, this hard market of kind of tighter underwriting guidelines and higher premiums. We felt like we were turning a corner after dealing with it for the last year and a half, 2 years. And then obviously California happened, and it might lead us back into a similar situation. Not a lot of people know, but insurance companies, insurance carriers have insurance policies. It's called reinsurance. So there's 2 or 3 global companies that insure those insurance companies.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when their policies skyrocket, they obviously amortize it amongst the consumer, which is us, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with it. I definitely would anticipate, definitely in California, that's going to be kind of a crisis of its own. But for us, kind of spread out on the outskirts of California, we probably will see some rate increases, or kind of stick to what we're similarly seeing in just really tight underwriting guidelines, companies pulling out of certain areas, things along that nature. So.
Okay.
Again, just having someone that you can call to kind of help navigate you through that is probably really important right now.
Yeah. So that leads me to my final wrap-up question, which is, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you? Do you like a phone call? Do you like email?
Yeah, I'm a phone guy. I love talking with people, face to face or over the phone. I mean, you can reach us in Moreland and our team in a multitude of ways, right? You can go to our website, you can go to our Instagram, you can call me directly. My personal cell phone's kind of out there in the ether now. Okay. So there's a bunch of different ways you can get in contact with us. And I'll say this, if you have someone that you've been working with, stick with that person. If there's trust there, if you have a relationship there, lean on them for the advice. If you don't, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help. We're happy to help guide you through that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks for doing
Absolutely.
this.